New waifu, I mean ally, unlocked. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Dr. Stone's Stone Wars, episode 3? Episode 4, sorry. Episode 4. It's a good thing I checked. And last time we met Nikki. Nikki is a super fan of, oh god, what is her name? Lillian Weinberg, the famous singer who was part of the expedition with Senku's father, and who they found the audio disc of, and which is the final remaining like log of her music anywhere. And although they were unable to convince Nikki that that Gen was Lillian, they did manage to get her on their side by promising to take care of this final record of Lillian singing with their lives. That they're promising that they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that it survives, to make sure that it remains safe. And that's all she wants. She wants Lillian's legacy to live on. Now, this is a big win for us because she's the guard, right? Nikki is the guard for Tsukasa Empire, or at least a guard. And this is going to open us up to possibly getting more members to join the Kingdom of Science in preparation for the battle to come against Tsukasa and the Empire. I assume one of them is going to be the Archer. There's been a lot of focus on him. I assume he's going to be one of them. There's some other characters shown in the opening that could possibly join. Homura might even join. Though that one's a little unclear because she kind of has loyalty to someone else besides Tsukasa. And it's like, unless he joins as well, I don't know. That one's tougher, I feel. But we'll see what happens in regards to that. And I want to also touch on what I was talking about last time with Nikki's entire age situation. Because I was like really confused about it last time, and I was talking about like how I couldn't find any definitive answer anywhere online. And one thing I don't think I brought up as much last time, but I want to bring up just real quick here, is that this series also has a very notable passage of time. And if I'm remembering correctly, based on I've been rewatching season 1 with this reactor. I believe I talked about that last time, Angel Rodriguez. And one of the reactions, I believe it was like showing briefly the Tsukasa Empire when Gen went back to report, to give the false report on Senku being dead and everything. I believe at that point we saw, like, even though we didn't see any detail, but we saw like her in shadows, we saw Nikki. And we know there has been a passage of time since then. I don't remember exactly how long has passed since then. I from that point, because that's like pretty much like almost right after Gen first arrived. I feel like it's been a matter of months and all. And again, time passage does happen, so we do have to take that into account as well. But even if Nikki started off at 17, which again, I can't find any real confirmation of, she could be 18. She could be an adult by the time that happens. By the time we actually meet her in this season. She could have been 17 when unfrozen, when like revived from stone. The thing is, it's hard to say. Again, I've been unable to find any definitive evidence, and I've said it before. when I'm watching a show or something that does not give any definitive evidence and there's no like evidence of their age anywhere, I kind of go based on their appearance, based on like how the show like showcases appearance and age, as well as other context clues. And all the context clues I'm getting still kind of makes me think she's like early to mid 20s, like 20 to 25, somewhere in that range. I cannot see her as being younger than 20. And honestly, I don't really see her being younger than 21. I don't see her being older than 25, though. And mind you, like, you could, like, argue then, okay, what about Tsukasa? He looks older than he is. But it's like Tsukasa's also known for being, like, unusual in his appearance. Like, he's kind of a celebrity because of it. Remember, he was on Gen's show. Gen had this like program and everything that Tsukasa was on. That's how he and Tsukasa knew each other, like before everything turned to stone. Tsukasa was seen as like unusual in his appearance, in his musculature, in his physical form. So that's not a good argument to make anyway. Tsukasa, we know, was a primate high schooler. Like the strongest primate high schooler, or whatever the exact nickname was. But Tsukasa, let's be honest, was more than likely 17 when he was turned to stone. I would say more than likely. And by the current day, he's definitely 18. By the amount of time that has passed, he would be 18 by this point. So it's like, even he's an adult now. But he's not a good, like, character to go by. But, like, you see, like, Kohaku, you see Senku, and it's like, they're obviously, like, 15 years old. Or I guess Senku would be 16 now. But Kohaku might have aged up to 16 at this point, too. I mean, I don't know for sure, but, you know. But you get the point. It's like they look their age, and all these other characters look their age for the most part. So I judge it based on that. And to me, Nikki cannot in any way, shape, or form come across as being younger than 20. It's like, no. I just, you cannot convince me of that. It design wise wouldn't make sense. Mind you, a lot of anime has issues with that, but still. Within the universe of this series, design wise, I can't buy it. But again, I couldn't find anything confirmed, like in terms of like actual confirmation. And so when that happens, you just kind of have to go with it. I see her as an adult. I see no evidence to the contrary. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm very curious to see what these other characters have in store, because we see quite a few of them in the opening. And I definitely want to see like what kind of like what they bring to the Kingdom of Science, because all of these different characters have their purpose. They all do something, even if some of them do overlap to a degree. Like Taiju is not really with the Kingdom of Science at the moment. He's still in the Tsukasa Empire as a spy. But like him and like Kinro and Ginro basically have the same like purpose. If Taiju was there, he would be doing exactly what Kinro and Ginro are doing, the muscle work. That is what he would be doing. But since he's not there, that's why Kinro and Ginro are there. They're able to provide that in his place. But That'll just, once they reconvene, that'll just be another member for that. And we know, like, Yuzuriha is very good with craft work. She might be able to even team up with Old Man Kiseki and maybe help with crafting in that regard. Now, her crafting tends to be like not like metal work or glass work or anything, but they could possibly find some way to work together to put their skills into a similar fashion. Because we know Kaseki's worked with like wood and stuff before with like Kohaku Shield, so I'm sure she would find a way to work with that. But you get that. You see characters who have similar functions, um, and you could see them working together. Not every character is fully unique, but there's a lot of different ways that those functions could overlap and a lot of reasons for having multiple people in those functions. It's really cool to see like kind of the world building that the show goes with that. Um Not to mention how it works in terms of the character growth and the science aspect of everything. Also, by the way, Magma also could be considered like one of the muscle characters, one of the strength based application characters as well. He's not as, you know, helpful usually because it's Magma, but he still would count in that same kind of way. So yeah, it's like I'm very curious as to what other kind of things we're gonna get because obviously we'll have archery with the one guy. We'll have Nikki will act as a guard. She's kind of like muscle too, but she also has like observation to her. If Homura does end up joining, we'll have an acrobat. We'll have someone who can be very agile, act as maybe even a lookout or whatnot. A lot of different things, a lot of different ways we can expand upon this, and I'm very curious to see more of what comes from all of this in terms of getting these others on our side. And I wonder, like, when Tsukasa is going to catch on. Because we haven't really seen Tsukasa this season. We've seen him in, like, flashbacks and, like, little, like, moments of, like, showcasing what he looks like. But we haven't seen him, like, actively be a part of this season yet. Which is really interesting. I'm very curious as to what they're going to, like, how they're going to really bring him into the active current day, um, you know, function of the season. I know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Sorry for these long pre-thoughts, but a lot I wanted to talk about here. So let's get into this episode and see where this leads us today. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was an interesting one. Not only are we introduced to and get to really meet and learn more about Ukyo in this one, but we get to see kind of Chrome's first, well, not even kind of, just we get to see Chrome's first interaction with the Tsukasa Empire, and Tsukasa specifically. And it really takes an interesting turn that we weren't quite expecting, because we see that Tsukasa isn't going to let Chrome die, but also Ukyo is lying. And we don't entirely know why yet. My thought was, as I mentioned in the reaction, that maybe he's like doing this for Chrome so that Chrome will do something for him. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. But I don't know like what that would be. And I assume while all of this is taking place, Nikki is still with Taijun Yuzuriha. That's why she hasn't been like interfering in any way or whatnot. But yeah, so that was definitely a test with Hyoga dangling Chrome over the waterfall to see if his conviction would waver. And I'm actually really pleased that it didn't. Like, it shows how much strength of character Chrome has. And again, we know that Tsukasa respects that kind of stuff. We know Tsukasa, as I've said before, and as the first season, Senku even says, Tsukasa's a good person who does bad things. And we know it's because of his trauma, because of everything he went through. We know why he hates the older generations and why he wants a world that's pure from that goes against what the world had been turned into before. He's not against science, as he says here. He just doesn't want certain aspects of science. The aspects that are used to, harm and victimize people. Those parts of science that he sees as impure because, again, of the things he's seen and the things that have been done against him and stuff like that. So, yeah, he was never going to let Chrome die. Like, even as Chrome was falling, it's like I had no worries. Because, obviously, Chrome's not going to die. I didn't know how he was going to survive necessarily. I didn't know, like, that Ukyo was going to save him in that way, or that Tsukasa would then give him a bridge to go across. But yeah, I'm curious as to where this is going to go further. Meanwhile, we have, speaking of Nikki, she also has pledged now to give them some tips and tricks, basically, on how to pretend to be Lillian, to make it more convincing. So she's going to help us in a number of ways. And we also see back at the Kingdom of Science camp, they are working on getting everything ready to go and rescue Chrome now that Magma has come back and told them what's going on. And in order to do so, Senku works with them to create basically an automobile. A very rudimentary version of one, of course, but still. And this is being made not just so they can get around faster, but so they can transport all the science stuff they need and will need at their new camp. Because that's what they're doing. They're going to create a new camp closer to the Tsukasa Empire so that they can rescue Chrome and be closer by in case things need to happen. Now, the car that they end up creating, again, very rudimentary, not a lot to it. But it's also not very big. It's definitely not big enough to carry everything they need. So that's only the first part. They're going to need to make a trailer for it. That the car itself will drag behind it, that will be able to hold everybody and everything they need. The only problem with that is they're going to have to find a path to go along to get to where they need to go, where a trailer that big will be able to fit. That's going to be important too, because they're not going to be able to go through the forested area very well with a trailer that big. It just will not work. Also, they have to have a way to control this car, this rudimentary automobile, because as of now it seems like it just kind of goes. So they have to have a way to steer it as well, which obviously Senku will be able to do no problem. But they have to implement that in to the design with what they've already got. But considering how fast Senku made this, that's not going to be a problem. Like, he made this from start to finish, probably like within a couple days. It's not exactly shown 100%, but it's possible it was over the course of a single day, but kind of doubtful. I think we're supposed to think it was maybe just a single day because it was kind of going back and forth between that and then Chrome meeting with Tsukasa. But I'm thinking that it actually probably took a couple days, and this stuff with Chrome and Tsukasa was all happening the day of still. Because Senku's very smart and very capable, but I feel like that would take a little longer, at least 2 days, you know? But maybe I'm wrong. It also depends on like what time they started, because Senku had to schematic this all out, figure out how to work it all, and then you had to actually execute everything, put it all together. Like, maybe if it was early enough at the start, like if it was like early morning when they started, I could see it. But I don't know. If it was like later on, it's hard to believe. I don't know. I don't know if it'll tell us either specifically. But we're definitely continuing to move in the direction of this war. And I'm still curious as to how long this is going to go. Because this is only episode 4. I'm still thinking, like, hold on, let me check something here. Actually, I can check that on my anime list. Because I updated my anime list finally. I am so bad with updating that. But I updated my list on there to include stuff that I have on hold and stuff I've been currently going through. And Stone Wars is one of those that I'm currently going through. So let's also bring that up to episode 4. So this season apparently only has 11 episodes, which, by the way, that's a weird specific number. Why 11? Why not 12 or 13? Usually a single core series has 12 or 13. That's really interesting, too, because the first season of Dr. Stone had like 24, right? Hold on, let me find. I have it on here as well. Digimon, Dororo, Dragon Ball. Ooh, it should be like just above Dragon Ball. Yep, there it is. Yeah, 24 episodes. Why does this season have only 11? Usually a series will start off with less episodes and then it will bump up to a 2 core with future seasons because it's shown that the series has like got enough of a following. Did the first season not do as well as they were hoping, so they bumped it down to 11? Or maybe that they just wanted season 2 to specifically be about the Stone Wars alone, and they just didn't have, and that this is just um all of the episodes they could do with that. Maybe that's it. Maybe they didn't want to have anything else besides the Stone Wars arc in season 2, and so they specifically made this arc or this season be shorter because of that. Let me check something here. Dr. Stone. Let me see how long the other seasons are. So there's, hold on. Let me go to specifically anime. So yeah, we have Stone Wars, which is 11. The first season, which is 24. Season 3 is New World. Season 3 is split up between 2 separate cores. Apparently, it's listed separately, but it is both New World. Yeah, they aired. The first core aired in spring of 2023. The second core was fall of 2023. So they just had a season break between them. But both of those are 11 episodes each as well, so that's 22 episodes for season 2 or season 3. And then season 4, which is the current season that's going, also only has 12 episodes, and that's the final season, right? So interestingly, they're all, well, no, it's kind of back and forth. The first season is 24, season 2 is 11, season 3 is 22, and then season 4 is 12. I guess it's just based on the arcs of the manga and everything. I guess it's just based on how long the arcs are. Um, there's just not much else they can do with that. That's really interesting. Although technically, I would consider there being um, two separate arcs in season one. Because I would consider the awakening arc when they first awaken and everything happens. It's a short arc. It's only like what, a few episodes, and then the second arc is like the Ishigami Village arc, which is like the rest of season one, which is most of season one, mind you. But I would still consider that a separate arc in terms of just how story arcs tend to go. So I was talking before about how I was thinking like the Stone Wars would only actually be like half of this season. But if this season's only 11 episodes, no, it's going to be the whole season because we're on episode 4. Like, next episode, once we finish episode 5, we'll pretty much be halfway through the season. I think most of this season is going to be build up, and the final few episodes, like 3 or so episodes, are going to be the actual Stone Wars. Maybe 4 episodes. It's like, no, I don't think it's going to be 4. Because then it'd be 8, 9, 10, and 11. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Either way, yeah, it's just, it's kind of wild how this is paced out. But again, I mean, if that's how the arcs go, but it's also weird because it's just weird for like anime seasons. Anime seasons aren't usually like paced out like this. That's not usually how the release of seasons for anime goes. Like an anime will like there's a lot of anime that will like push like, oh, we're gonna have a single core season, 12 episodes, or maybe 13, or we're gonna have a double core seasons, 24 to 26 episodes, but we're gonna stick to that standard number, even if we have to like stretch things out a little bit or cut things back just a little bit to make it work with the arcs that we can fit within that time frame. But instead, this one is having each season kind of like have its own focus. And that's not how a lot of these shows tend to organize their seasons. So that's really interesting. That's really interesting. How, especially just how it goes back and forth like that. Again, 24, 11, 22, 12. And even with season 3 being split between 2 cores released with the season apart between them, it's like it's still one season. So it's like, that's just really unique. Not a bad thing, just, yeah, not what I was expecting. I was expecting that this season would also be like 22 to 24 episodes. Somewhere around that. Well, actually more likely 24 to 26. But, yeah, it's just, I guess that's not what this show is doing. I'm surprised it took me this long to look that up, by the way. So yeah, this season is just going to be the Stone Wars, and it's just these 11 episodes. Next season's going to be back to like big double core season though. So next season's going to be like a lot and really big stuff. Um, and then the final season is going to be a lot more succinct and probably getting to the point of like really figuring out what actually happened. I don't see that happening before the final season. I just don't. So the final season's probably going to focus on like that as well as the later advancements that they wouldn't have already made by this point. Um as well as, like, I guess the final conflict, whatever that ends up being. I still think Tsukasa's going to get redeemed, and honestly, I feel like it has to happen this season. I don't see him being the villain past season 2. Just because I feel like these stone wars are pretty much the extent of where you can go with that, right? We're going to lead into this big confrontation between the Kingdom of Science and the Tsukasa Empire, and it's probably going to end with the Kingdom of Science winning. Tsukasa is going to admit defeat and probably, like, join the Kingdom of Science and have the Empire, like, just completely merge into it. That would be my guess, at least. But we'll see. We'll see. That's still my biggest theory for where this is going to go. But yeah, I'm very curious then, like, how much, like, we're going to progress things in these next couple episodes. Ukyo definitely has to be coming over to our side earlier. I don't know what his current plan or thought is with, like, lying to Tsukasa. Hyogo, I feel, is going to be probably not coming over until Tsukasa does. I just don't see that happening. But also, by the way, let me see if I can go back to this real quick. This is the last thing I want to touch on. The problem is I have to find exactly where it was. It was, I think it was when they were talking about, like, the fact that Chrome was going to talk. Okay, so here's Kohaku tries to leave. Senku says they're going to go out. Yeah, I think it's where this part where they're all, like, getting ready to go. I'm trying. I muted it so you're not going to be able to hear anything, but I'm trying to go through it very slowly. Okay, yeah, here we go. The part I pointed out where, like, Homura's just sitting there vibing, eating ramen. She's not tied up. You can very visibly see, unless, like, she's tied up underneath her coat. She's sitting like, with her knees up, and the big bowl of ramen is right in front of her. Maybe she's tied up underneath her coat there, but she doesn't appear to be tied up. She just appears to be sitting there vibing, eating ramen. Maybe she's actually been won over already, or maybe she just realizes there's no way she's going to be able to escape at this point, and just kind of like how Ukyo untied Chrome. Just realized there was no point to have her tied up anymore. There's, like, no visible signs of her being tied up anymore, though. So I wanted to point that out. I'm wondering if, like, maybe she will come over before Hyoga does, like, fully convert. Because, like, again, she seems to be vibing, just, you know, eating that ramen, so maybe she's kind of already just into that idea. Maybe the ramen convinced her. On top of the cotton candy that we already touched on. The thing is, they say that we've isolated Homura. I assume they just mean isolated from the rest of Tsukasa's empire. But I wonder if, like, maybe there's something more? There's some bamboo shoots in front of, like, the hut that she's in. Is it, is, like, it acting like a prison? Can she not get out through those bamboo shoots? Because bamboo's pretty flexible, right? And though they're not, like, super, like, close together, there's no way she could, like, manage to squeeze herself through there? Because the bamboo shoots look like they could be, like, acting as bars in a prison cell. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say until we get more information on that. But all of that being said, no spoilers. I want to emphasize that as much as possible. Do not spoil me on anything that's yet to come for this series. Any questions I have asked, do not answer them. When I ask questions and all, unless I tell you that you can answer them, I'm asking these questions to process my thoughts. It's a way of just getting my thoughts out there. I don't actually want answers. So please do not spoil me to anything for the future. That being said, thank you so much as always for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.